He left her when she needed him most, but years later he came back begging, saying he finally understood what he lost. I told him, "You didn't lose me. You left me." Then his apology tour turned into calls, emails, fake emergencies, and one courtroom he never expected. Original post: I'm Marin, 32, female. My ex is Caleb, 34, male. We were together for almost 5 years in Charlotte, North Carolina. We weren't married, but we lived like we were. Shared apartment, shared furniture, shared plans. At least I thought they were shared. Caleb was the kind of man who looked supportive from a distance. He remembered anniversaries, posted sweet pictures, knew exactly what to say at dinners with friends, but support, real support, is quiet. It shows up at hospitals. It answers the phone at 2 a.m. It doesn't disappear when life stops being romantic. I learned that the hard way. 4 years into our relationship, my mom had a stroke. It happened on a Wednesday morning while I was at work. My younger brother, Ethan, called me crying from her kitchen because he found her on the floor and didn't know what to do. I drove to the hospital so fast I don't remember half the roads. I called Caleb from the parking garage. No answer. I texted him. "Mom had a stroke, at hospital, please call me." He replied 43 minutes later, "I'm in a meeting, keep me posted, keep me posted." That was the first crack. My mom survived, but the next several weeks were brutal. Rehab appointments, insurance calls. A speech therapist, bills. Ethan was 19 and scared, so I was the adult for both of us. Caleb came to the hospital twice. Both times he stayed less than an hour and complained about the parking fee. $12. One night after I got home from the hospital around 1030, I found him sitting on the couch with his shoes on and a duffel bag beside him. I thought maybe he packed for me. Clothes, toiletries, something useful. No, he had packed for himself. He said, "I can't keep living like this, Marin." I just stood there. My coat was still on. My hair smelled like hospital sanitizer. I asked, "Living like what?" He said, "Like your life is one crisis after another. I feel like I don't even have a girlfriend anymore. I'm just waiting around for you to need something." I remember blinking. Slowly. My mother couldn't say my name properly yet. My brother was sleeping on a hospital waiting room chair. I had eaten vending machine crackers for dinner, and Caleb was tired of being needed. I said, "So you're leaving?" He rubbed his face like I was exhausting him. "I think I need space." I nodded once. He said, "Don't do that." I asked, "Do what?" "Act cold. I'm not abandoning you. I'm protecting my mental health." That sentence stayed with me for years. Protecting my mental health. By leaving me alone during the worst month of my life. He walked out that night. Took his clothes, his gaming console, and the fancy coffee machine he insisted we needed, but I paid half for. The next morning, he texted, "I hope you understand someday." I replied, "I understand now." Then I blocked him. Not because I was strong. I wasn't. I cried in my car outside the rehab center until my chest hurt, but grief has a strange way of cleaning your vision. When someone leaves you in the storm, you stop romanticizing the umbrella they used to hold on sunny days. I kept going. I worked mornings at a physical therapy clinic. Spent afternoons with my mom. Helped Ethan apply for community college. Took over the apartment lease alone. Paid the $1150 rent by myself, even though Caleb still owed $575 for the last month he lived there. He never paid it. 2 months later, he sent one email. "I hope your mom is doing better. I still care about you, but I think we both needed this." I didn't answer, because no, we did not both need it. He needed an exit. I needed a partner. Years passed. And then, exactly 6 years and 3 months later, Caleb came back. Update 1: 3 days later, the first message came through LinkedIn, of all places. "Marin, I know this is unexpected. I've thought about you for years. I was young and selfish. I'd really like to apologize properly." I stared at his profile picture for a long time. Same smile. Slightly older face. Better suit. I didn't respond. By then, my life was different. My mom had recovered enough to live independently with part-time help. Ethan had finished school and worked as an electrician in Raleigh. I had become clinic manager at the same physical therapy office where I started as an assistant. I had peace, not perfect life. Peace. 2 days after the LinkedIn message, Caleb emailed my work account. Subject line, I owe you an apology. The body was long, too polished. He said he had gone to therapy, said he finally understood how deeply he failed me. Said he had been scared of grief and responsibility. Said he had carried regret for years. Then came the sentence that told me the real reason. I recently ended an engagement, and it made me realize no one ever loved me the way you did. There it was. Not I hurt you. Not I abandoned you. No one ever loved me the way you did. I was not a person in his apology. I was a feeling he wanted back. I replied with 4 sentences. I received your message. I accept that you regret your choices. I am not interested in reconnecting. Please do not contact me again. Clean. Calm. Final. He answered 12 minutes later. Can we at least talk once? I need closure. I didn't reply. That evening, my old friend Shelby called. Shelby and I had known each other since college, but we weren't close anymore. She still followed Caleb online. She said, "Hey, don't be mad," but Caleb reached out to me. I said, "Of course he did." She sighed. "He says you won't let him apologize. He sounds really broken up." I was loading my dishwasher while she spoke. Normal Tuesday things, forks, plates, someone from my past trying to drag old pain into my kitchen. I said, "Shelby, he left me the night I came home from the hospital after my mom had a stroke." Silence. Then she said, "He told people you pushed him away." I laughed once, not because it was funny. I said I was too busy teaching my mother how to hold a spoon again to push anyone anywhere. Shelby got quiet. She said, "I'm sorry, I didn't know that part." Nobody did, because Caleb had always been good at editing. The next morning, flowers arrived at the clinic. White roses. My favorite before he ruined them. The card said, "For the woman I should have chosen every day." Caleb, my receptionist, Natalie, put them on my desk with wide eyes. I read the card, took a picture, and handed the flowers back. "Please throw these away." Natalie said, "Bad ex." I said, "The worst kind. The one who thinks regret is a time machine." She nodded and tossed them. Unexpected ally number 1. That night, Caleb messaged from a new email. "I'm not trying to pressure you. I just need one conversation so I can move on." I finally replied. "You moved on the night you packed a bag while my mother was in the hospital. Continue." Then I blocked that email too. Update 2. 3 weeks later, Caleb did not continue. He escalated. First, he contacted Ethan. My brother sent me a screenshot with one message. "This dude's serious." Caleb had written, "I know I failed your sister years ago. I'm trying to make amends. Could you please tell her I'm not the same man anymore?" Ethan replied, "You left when mom couldn't talk. Stay gone." Then he blocked him. I framed that screenshot emotionally. Next came Morgan, Caleb's sister. She sent me a Facebook message that started with, "I hope you can hear me with an open heart." That is never a good opening. She said Caleb had been depressed since his engagement ended. Said he finally admitted I was the one. Said sometimes people make mistakes when they're overwhelmed. Said forgiveness could heal both of us. I wrote back, "Forgiveness does not require access." She replied, "That sounds harsh." I replied, "Leaving your girlfriend during her mother's stroke recovery was harsh." No answer after that. Then Caleb showed up at my clinic. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was reviewing patient schedules when Natalie called my office. "Marin, there's a Caleb here. He says he's your emergency contact." My stomach went still. I said, "He is not. Please ask him to leave." She whispered, "He brought coffee." Of course he did. I walked to the front desk but stayed behind the half wall near the hallway. Caleb was standing there in a navy coat, holding 2 cups from the coffee place we used to visit. He smiled when he saw me, like this was a movie scene. "Marin," I said, "you need to leave." His smile twitched. "I just wanted 5 minutes." "No." People in the waiting room looked up. He noticed. His voice got softer. "I drove from Austin. I'm not asking for anything crazy." I said you crossed state lines after I told you not to contact me. That is crazy enough. His face changed then. The soft regret disappeared and something sharper came through. Wow. So this is who you are now? I said yes, someone who means no. Natalie stepped beside me and said, "Sir, if you don't leave, I'm calling building security." Unexpected ally number two. He left, but not before placing one coffee cup on the counter, for old times. I took a photo of it before Natalie threw it away. Documentation. Always documentation. That night I called a lawyer. Her name was Dana. The consultation cost $300. I sent her screenshots, emails, photos of the flowers, the LinkedIn message, the clinic incident, and Ethan's screenshot. Dana said, "We start with a cease and desist. If he ignores that, we file for protection." The letter cost $550. Caleb received it 5 days later. His response was to post a long public apology online. No names, but enough detail that mutual friends knew. Years ago, I failed someone who loved me at my lowest. I was emotionally immature and afraid. I hope one day she knows how sorry I am. It got comments. Proud of your growth. This is accountability. Hope she gives you grace. Grace. That word always appears when people want a wounded person to make the room comfortable. I didn't comment, but my friend Brianna did. She wrote, "Did you mention you left while her mom was recovering from a stroke, or is that in part two?" The post disappeared within 20 minutes. Then came the fake emergency. At 11:48 p.m., Morgan called me from an unknown number. I answered because I was half asleep and stupid. She said Caleb was in a dark place. She said he hadn't eaten. She said he kept saying he ruined his life by losing me. I said if Caleb is unsafe, call 911. She said he doesn't need police. He needs compassion. I sat up in bed. No, Morgan. He needs help from people who are currently in his life. I am not one of them. She said, "You really are cold now." I said no. I'm warm to people who didn't abandon me. Then I hung up. The next morning, Caleb emailed Dana directly. "Your client is using legal threats to avoid a healing conversation." Dana forwarded it to me with one sentence. "He is not helping himself." I almost smiled. Final update. 2 months later, the protective order happened because Caleb showed up at my apartment. I had moved twice since we dated. He should not have had my address. Later, I found out Shelby had mentioned my neighborhood to Morgan, and Morgan found me through an old charity 5K registration page that still had my workplace listed. People who say they just want closure do a surprising amount of research. It was a Sunday evening. Rainy. I was making soup and watching a documentary when my doorbell camera alerted me. Caleb stood on my porch holding an envelope. I didn't open the door. He rang once. Then again. Then he looked straight into the camera and said, "Marin, I know you're watching. I'm not leaving until you hear me." I called the police. No speech. No warning. No dramatic confrontation. Just 911. While I waited, he kept talking to the camera. He said he had changed. Said his engagement failed because he compared everyone to me. Said he knew he made the biggest mistake of his life. Said he wanted to help with my mom now, as if 6 years late was still a contribution. Then he said something that made every soft part of me harden. "You owe me one conversation after everything we were." I saved that clip. The police arrived 9 minutes later. Caleb tried to explain that he was there peacefully. I spoke through the door and told the officers I had sent a cease and desist through my attorney and had repeatedly told him not to contact me. One officer asked if I had proof. I said yes. All of it, emails, screenshots, photos, the clinic report, the cease and desist, the doorbell footage from 5 minutes earlier where he said he was not leaving. Caleb was told to leave. He tried to hand the officer the envelope. The officer said, "Sir, that is contact." Put it away. Beautiful sentence. The next morning, Dana filed for a protective order. The hearing was 3 weeks later at the Mecklenburg County Courthouse. I wore a black dress and low heels. Caleb wore a gray suit and brought Morgan with him. Dana had a binder. Caleb had feelings. That was the difference. The judge reviewed the timeline, LinkedIn, work email, flowers, new email, contacting Shelby, Ethan, and Morgan, showing up at the clinic, public post, fake crisis call, emailing my attorney, coming to my apartment after receiving a cease and desist. When Caleb spoke, he sounded wounded. I just wanted to apologize. I never threatened her. The judge said, "You were told not to contact her, correct?" Caleb said yes, but the judge interrupted. "And you continued." He said I was trying to make things right. The judge looked at the doorbell transcript. "By refusing to leave her porch until she heard you." Caleb went quiet. Morgan tried to speak from the bench. The judge told her she was not part of the hearing. Dana presented the line from his porch video. "You owe me one conversation after everything we were." The judge looked at Caleb and said, "Mr. Caleb, no one is owed access to another person because they regret their past behavior." Protective order granted. 1 year. No contact, no third-party contact. 500 feet from my home, workplace, and vehicle. Caleb looked stunned, not angry, not sad. Stunned, like consequences had always been something that happened to other people. After the hearing, Morgan waited near the elevators. I expected another speech. Instead, she said, "He told us you disappeared on him after your mom got better." I said, "He left the night I came home from the hospital." She looked down. "I believe you now." Unexpected ally number 3, too late to matter but still noted. Life after that got quiet again. Good quiet. My mom still has trouble with a few words when she's tired, but she gardens, watches crime shows, and tells every nurse she meets that her daughter runs a clinic even though I only manage one. Ethan got engaged to a woman named Paige. I got another raise and started training new therapists on patient communication. I'm also seeing someone. His name is Nalan. He's a high school counselor, 35, calm in a way that doesn't feel empty. When my mom had a bad blood pressure scare last month, he didn't ask if I needed space. He showed up with soup, drove Ethan to the pharmacy, and sat in the waiting room reading a paperback. No performance, no complaint about parking, just presence. That's the thing Caleb never understood. Love is not proven by coming back years later with polished apologies and sad eyes. Love is proven in the ugly middle, in hospital chairs, in unpaid bills, in the days when nobody is taking pictures and nobody is clapping for you. He left when I needed him most. Years later, he came back begging because he needed me, and for once, I chose not to abandon myself. If you've ever had someone leave you during your hardest season and come back when you finally healed, tell me in the comments what you did. Please subscribe, like, and share this story, and comment whether you've faced something similar or what your opinion is.